Call Haloyim Yahweh, Bahasham, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, Barakatham, Shalom. This is your fellow servant Tazawar from the GMS Orlando camp here with another lesson. First, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and from whom we learn His truth. Shalom to Akim who are not in GMS but are pushing likewise doctrine in spirit and in truth, with all sincerity. To you few sisters that are listening and learning, as well as you speckled birds, who are scattered among the nations, looking like those nations, to the 144,000 elect men, and the rest of the hopeful elect, to you I say, Shalom. This video is inspired by some, I guess you would call it news articles, all right, that I've come across online, right? And it just solidifies, right, reconfirms the times that we're in. Okay? Now, the laborers and the believers and the apostles and the elders and the prophets, have been speaking on the times that we are in now. The elders and apostles have been speaking on that for 40 years. Okay? And then you have, like I said, the believers who've been activated or at various times, okay, depending on when they were born into the earth and when they woke up from the matrix, we'll call it, right? When they awoke from out of sleep, okay, this thing called the American dream. And currently it's easy to get distracted with, the minutia, all right, from your day-to-day lives, and also the peripheral bullshit that the media tries to shove in your face, especially during this political season, okay, with the candidates and their campaigning and all of this, right? Well, the laborers, the believers, all right, and the elect, the elder bishops and the prophets, the elder bishops and the apostles, they've been saying for years that war is coming, right? War is on the horizon. And sedition of men, turmoil, Jacob's trouble. Yes? And they've added the context of the scriptures to keep your sight, your lens focused. All right? Focused on the truth and the matters at hand. Not like your Alex Jones and your Common Sense Show and the guys of that sort, right? There's many of them. The thing that they have in common, all right, is that they all still believe in this system in some form or fashion. They all still believe in this system in some form or fashion, thinking that the Lord's going to bless this place, but this place is circling the drain. All right, circling the drain. Salakia. So let's look at a couple articles. Salakia. Right, here's one. Okay. And you see the title there. It says the Ukrainian Air Force confirms the deployment of the new Sinex air defense system transferred by Germany. Right? It's a couple days ago. See right there on the 26th. Right, some of these articles are a few days old, but the point is still pertinent. Okay? And I'm going to breeze through these real quick if I can. Right? And it reads, it says, as part of anti-aircraft defense exercises, right? Kind of too little too late at this point. Anyway, as part of anti-aircraft defense exercises, the Ukrainian Air Force has confirmed the deployment of one of its new Skynex systems, manufactured by the German company Rheinmetall. Right? Rheinmetall. Specifically, this is one of the two systems committed by the German government towards the end of 2022 in a military assistance package valued at 194 million euros. That's a lot of money. All right, because currently the euro is worth more than the greenback. All right, than the American dollar, which included HX trucks for transportation. Right? So we know that the Germans are known for their ingenuity and their craftsmanship, right? When it comes to those that reside in Europe, okay? Specifically the Edomites. You know, German engineering is renowned amongst the Edomites and in the world, okay? We'll say in the UN. This is why the likes of your Mercedes-Benz, your BMWs, your Audi, Volkswagen, right? All of those cars, Porsche, right? It was the Bugatti. I think they in there too. Anyway, these guys are very well known for their technological prowess. Okay. The scriptures speak of Teman, who are the Germans, right? But it says what? Wisdom shall be removed out of Teman. Right? So these German-made anti-aircraft defense systems, or these Skynet systems, were donated. Where was this, a year ago? Like I said, maybe a little too late, but this just shows you that the countries that are in the UN, they are still preparing, okay, for the opposition. And the opposition for these guys, as we know, are the Russians, right? They're in direct opposition to Ukraine currently. And who's in league with the Russians? Well, you got China, right? You got the BRICS, the BRICS Union, right? The BRICS nations. It's like that's what Brazil, Russia, China, Iran, Iraq, Syria, all of them. Okay. But this is a UN thing here, right? Let's read on. It says, it is important to note that the Skynex systems are Rheinmetall's most advanced solution for short-range air defense. All right. Launched in 2021, the first unit delivered to Ukraine arrived in January of this year. Okay. So they had these jokers out since 2021. The Russians have, but Ukraine just got them the top of this year in January, right? The system consists of a 35 millimeter Oerlikon, I think that's how you say that, Oerlikon Mk3 cannon, an Oerlikon Skymaster control node, and a modern Oerlikon X TAR 3D radar system that facilitates the detection of enemy targets. Okay, now we know what when you consider that China has hypersonic missiles, right? We now know that Iran also has hypersonic missiles. Okay. And I'm certain that Russia too has access to hypersonic missiles. If they don't have their own, they definitely have the access to the missiles via China and Iran. Okay. And with that being said, if you can remember, I posted a video a while back going on to those missiles that were shot over into the land of Israel, all right, from Hezbollah and the Iranians or Hamas or whoever it was, right? And the Iron Dome did not perform as it was, as well as it thought it would, as they thought it would. I was going to say as well as it was intended to perform, but you know, all these things are from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. Then it says, what as observed in the materials published by the Ukrainian Air Force, the Skynex activates automatically thanks to the integrated fire control processor, attacking its targets with a high rate of fire that allows for rapid neutralization. Right? So let's not forget that also in conjunction with those hypersonic missiles, they had those missiles that deployed multiple, for lack of a better word, like bang shots in its trail to the rear as it was flying to overwhelm the Iron Dome. Okay, and the missile defense systems that Israel had access to. Okay, so you got to keep these things in mind when you read these articles. Okay, now anyway, they're trying to just hype up this little Skynex defense system or whatever. But from there, let's grab another article real quick. All right, this is CNN. Okay. Now we know CNN is, they're giving scripts and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this. They report news in favor, all right, of in favor of the elites. I'll just say it like that. Okay, so you keep that in mind as well. But CNN also they put this out, right? And it reads what NORAD detects 4 Russian military aircraft near Alaska after U.S. Army recently deployed soldiers to area. Okay, you see the heading, right? And then it reads. We're just probably gonna get these first 2 paragraphs. The North American Aerospace Defense Command says it detected 4 Russian military aircraft flying near Alaska on Monday, less than 2 weeks after U.S. Army soldiers were deployed to the area as part of a force protection operation, amid an increase in Russian and Chinese military exercises in the region. Okay? So, look at that. Russia and Chinese military exercises in that region over there in the Pacific, in the North Pacific. Okay. And it says an increased presence, right? An increase in Russian and Chinese military exercises. I wonder what they are practicing for. The Russian aircraft remained in international airspace in Alaska's Air Defense Identification Zone and did not enter American or Canadian sovereign airspace. Okay, so they didn't cross any airspace boundaries to cause conflict, right? But they are still making their presence known in that region. And the thing about it is not just Russia. They said it's both Russia and China. It's not just the Chinese and it's not just the Russians. It's both of them together. I wonder, why would the 2 of them be working in, conjunction with each other? Right? It says this Russian activity in the Alaska ADIZ, which is the Alaska Air's Defense Identification Zone, occurs regularly and is not seen as a threat, the statement said. Of course, you gotta, keep the masses from worrying. NORAD intercepted Russian military aircraft flying near Alaska several times this month. Now notice how they just saying Russia, right? Russian. But up in here they said Russian and Chinese military exercises have been increased in the region. Not staying at a constant rate as they, have been in the past, but increased activity. All right. Y'all can search these articles on your own. I'm gonna grab one more. This one. Russia, China, warships. This is Reuters. All right. Warships enter sea of Okhotsk for drills. Interacts report. Okay. I can't say that damn O word. Y'all see it. And this was put out the same time, the same day, right? That this report was put out by Reuters the same day that their report came out about the aircrafts, right, in the airspace. So, and we know that, the ships carry the Navy fleets carry aircrafts, because that's how it works here in America's Navy as well, right? But this reads, it says, a detachment of warships of Russia's Pacific Fleet and the Chinese Navy entered the Sea of Okhotsk, right, in the Western Pacific as part of joint Navy exercises. You hear that? Joint Navy exercises. And also, it said what? Did it say, I thought it mentioned north, but it doesn't. It says west. Okay, joint Navy exercises. Russia's Interfax agency reported on Tuesday, citing the Pacific Fleet's press service, right? During the sea passage, the detachment carried out tasks of joint maneuvering, countering unmanned boats of a mock enemy, conducting reconnaissance and monitoring the surface situation with the involvement of deck helicopters. Okay, Interfax reported, citing the press service. Russia said on Saturday it was starting the joint Russian-Chinese Beibu interaction. All right, 2024. All right, the Beibu interaction, 2024. Naval exercise that would include anti-aircraft and anti-submarine weapons. Russian large anti-submarine destroyers. All right. Admiral Pentelev and Admiral Tributz, as well as corvettes MPK 82 and MPK 107 were among the warships taking part in the drills. China was represented by the destroyers Xining and Wuxi. All right. The frigate Lin Yi and the integrated supply ship Taihu, the agency added. All right. I think that's pretty much. Oh, hold on. Let me get down here. The ships will perform artillery firing as well as the use of anti-submarine and anti-aircraft weapon systems under a single plan. The Sea of Okhotsk in the western Pacific Ocean is located between Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula on the east, the Kuril Islands on the southeast, and Japan's island of Hokkaido on the south. All right. And we know that Japan is also an ally to America in the UN. All right. So these guys are doing what? What are they doing? Oh, wait. I got one more. Salakia. I got one more. Right? You can just read the title of this. Eurasian Times, the Eurasian Times. It says, U.S. fortifies Alaska with warships, fighter squadron, military and missile unit amid Russian threats and claims. Now, see, these guys talking about Russia making threats, Right? Now in the other article it said what? That these drills were considered a non-threat, right? This is why you got to look at more than one source, give you a better picture, right? Let's just get a couple of these paragraphs and we're going to grab some scriptures, Lord willing. In response to increased Russian military activities near Alaska, the U.S. military has bolstered its presence in the region by developing a destroyer, stationing an Army unit with long-range missile capabilities, and placing fighter squadrons and other aircraft on high alert. In recent weeks, the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Sterett has been stationed off the Alaskan coastline to counter Russian naval vessels. Russian naval vessels maneuvers in the area. The U.S. Army has also deployed troops to a remote island in Alaska to increase military readiness. Additionally, fighter squadrons and other aircraft based in Alaska have been placed on heightened alert in response to repeated intercepts of Russian surveillance planes near U.S. airspace, according to Politico. Right? Wonder what they surveilling. So, with that, let's grab Joel 3. Joel 3 and 9. And it reads, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say that I am strong. All right. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. All right. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right. Now this is talking about over in the land of Jehoshaphat when you keep reading down. All right. Which is the valley of judgment. Okay. That's where we know everything to kick off. But these guys are over here, Russia and China, running these military drills on purpose at an increased rate, right? That is what you call military posturing, right? So they posturing against the U.S. Like, what you gonna do, right? So of course we know that destruction to this land will come from the north, right? It'll most likely come from both the north and the east, right? But the scriptures say that destruction will come from the north. Why? Because Russia is north, geographically north of Babylon. Okay, it's north of America. Okay. So if you consider that, where do you think their offensive onslaughts would come from? They would have to come from the north. Okay. But this says what? Verse 10, beat your plowshares, right? Which is a tool used for agriculture. And a pruning hook is also another tool used for agriculture. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And they've done so, right? They've done so gathering all these nations together under the BRICS Union. Now, don't get it twisted. After the USSR, the old Soviet Union, they was the mighty power in the earth. But after that was disassembled, right, and NATO was formed to combat the USSR from ever coming back into power, all right, the Russians were looked at as a weak country for a very long time. All right. And not so much militarily, but politically weak. Because we know Russia is renowned for their military might. But again, amidst America and NATO, those two joining forces, in comparison, Russia was considered weak to that. And then on top of that, you have these other small nations, right, that did not have a strong military presence, like Iran. Okay. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all those nations in that region. Okay. Even India. Okay. India didn't have a very strong military presence. Now, India, they got 1 billion people, but they didn't have a strong military presence. Okay. And at one point, China didn't either. But what did they do? America kept sending shit over to China to be made and manufactured. And China has garnered the benefit of all of those technological advancements, and they've implemented them back into their own society. So this is why China was allowing for this cheap mass production of goods. Okay, it was to get their hands on the blueprints and the information and the technology. Okay, and like I mentioned, for a very long time, the Germans, all right, not just in Germany, but the Germans that have integrated themselves into America, all right, who lived here, who have became American citizens, a lot of those guys were the scientists behind all of the technology for these aircrafts that America became famous for, like the F-14 fighter jets. All right, the naval systems and boat ships and all of that. Okay, so you got to remember that after World War II, a lot of those guys, the ones that were not war criminals, okay, came over here seeking better life in the Americas. And a lot of them contribute a lot to the technology of Esau Edom. Just keep that in mind. And we see the same thing happening now with the very first article that I brought back, where the Ukrainians received German made and engineered anti-air defense systems. That's Skynex. Okay. So these countries are beating their swords and their plowshares. Salaki, they're beating their plowshares into swords, and they're beating their pruning hooks into spears. And we're seeing it. And all of the nations are doing it, not just America and Russia and China, but again, the smaller nations as well. This is the thing that we see with the BRICS Union, okay? Because Russia and China are not just doing military exercises amongst each other, they're also providing munitions and training to the smaller countries that want to be joined unto them. Okay? Let's grab Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Do I want this or I want Zechariah? Let me get Zechariah first. Zechariah 14:1. And it reads, right? Because we just got out of Joel, right? For all nations. If you keep reading down in Joel to around the 14th, 15th verse, I believe, it starts speaking on that valley of judgment down in Jehoshaphat. So, but this is Zechariah 14, and it reads, Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. All right. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Right? And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Right? Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. Okay? And again, if you pay attention to Joel 3, right? That place of gathering, matter of fact, let's go back there. That place of gathering is where? We stopped at 10, I believe, right? So let's go back to Joel 3. It says 11. It says, Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Right? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. All right? Now, verse 2 again in Zechariah 14, it says, For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken. Right? And the houses rivaled, and the woman ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. So this is actually speaking to Israel. Okay? Because we did trespass against the Lord, and he spewed us out of the land. Right? But you can apply this gathering down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Which is in that region. It's over there in that region, which they call the Middle East. Okay? You can apply that to what's happening on this side of Yahushua. Okay? And it reads, And the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. Right? 4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, on the east, on the front. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave to the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a great, Salaki, and there shall be a very great valley. All right, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. All right, that's covering all directions. All right, that mountain goes into the government, right? Now let me get this Ezekiel. And which governor is it speaking of? The house of David, ultimately. Okay. Ezekiel 38, and start at 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Right? Which first and foremost, we prophesy against who? Babylon the Great, right? The great whore, the daughter of Babylon, the mystery Babylon, right? But ultimately against all of Edom, right? And the Russians are Edomites. That's the Edomite nation. Okay. So those devils, they not gonna get rulership next either. All right. And prophesy against him, verse 3, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, right? Horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, of all them handling swords. All right, and we see that now. That hooks, putting hooks into the jaws, goes into leading them, right? Meaning what? Controlling the hearts of men. Because the scriptures tell us what? Man's goings are of the Lord. How then can a man know his own way? So these leaders, these presidents, prime ministers, whatever their title is, they think they're making decisions, but they're just pawns on a chessboard. Okay? Because the Lord said what? He'll put hooks into his jaws and bring thee forth and all thine army. And we see that in those articles, right? Russia is starting to get their confidence back. Okay, soon they will wax proud against Babylon the Great. Okay? And then what? Well, the day of the Lord shall come. Verse 5 says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepared for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Going into the bricks, right? And the nations that's joined unto them. Okay? Thou, it says in the middle of verse 7, it says, Thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Right? So right now we see in the two heavy hitters, like in previous videos, I said what? I said, I made the analogy, for, that's probably a bad analogy. Be it as it may, in the world, you usually got a money man and a trigger man, concerning, how niggas get down in the world. And we see the same dynamic with Russia and China. Russia is the trigger man and China's the money man. Right? China's pushing all the technology. They're a little more diplomatic, right? They still have more connections with other countries than Russia, right? They've garnered a lot of the technology from all of the mass uh, industrialization and mass producing of goods that they've done over there in China. So now they have the blueprints, they got the technologies, they've got the factories set up, the infrastructure, pretty much. Okay? So this is why I say that China is the money man, right? Like that. So y'all seen Paid in Full. I just say it like that. You know, you got a money man and got a trigger man, right? So China's like Ace, and I forget Cameron's uh Rico, right? Russia's like Rico. Anyway, but again, you got those two heavy hitters right now, you know, pressing the borders and making a presence known. Okay, but make no mistake, the rest of these nations in the BRICS nations, the BRICS Union, whatever they call it, that conglomerate of nations, you know, they've gone from weak to being fortified. Okay, being strengthened. Okay, that's why it says, "Let the weak say that I am strong." Yeah, and all of this is of the Lord, man. All of it is the plan of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's why I said these guys are nothing but chessboards. I mean, they're nothing but pawns on a chessboard, right? Because the Lord put hooks in their mouth, man. This is Revelation 16 and 15. In his words in red, it says, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." All right. And this is what we're doing. Like I said, you know, the apostles, the elders, the elder bishops, right? And the laborers, they've been telling you all about the impending war that's coming. The war to end all wars, right? The war to end all wars, which is World War III, right? And the scriptures say that that's going to be the war to end all wars. And not because of the terribleness of man, although many shall perish in that time, right? But the coming of the Lord shall kick off during that time as well, too, man. The coming of Yahweh Shai is going to be in the midst of that. All right? After that chip and after World War III kickoff, yeah, Yahweh Shai coming back. And through the slaughter of many by the right hand of the Heavenly Father, man, right? Which will happen in the midst of World War III, right? The celestials and the terrestrials clashing. That's going to be the end of World War III. That's how it's going, how you call it, the grand finale of World War III. The celestial and the terrestrial will clash. And that will be the end of all wars. Right? And in 16, then it says, "And he gathered them," and who's the he? It's Yahweh Shai. "And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon," right? Or Armageddon, right? Which we know is the valley of judgment, the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. Anyway, those are just a few articles I saw, caught my attention. Want to share it with you all. Stay on your watch. Pray this lesson was edifying. I pray that it found you well. Until next time, Shalom. Wa Abba Babal. Shalak Matababal.